Me. Play Minecraft again. It's fine. I'm obsessed. It's fine. Um, tomorrow I should be streaming again, though, and tomorrow should be a somewhat special stream, and I'm gonna play something different. So I said you can have one more day. You can play Minecraft for one more day. It's gonna be Baldur's Gate, so it's not gonna be anything new or like, yeah. It's just gonna be Baldur's Gate. But I haven't played that in forever, so I am excited. And then I'm gonna have more new stuff to go with the little gamey game. Other than that, I did play a little bit, played a little bit, the other day off stream. I didn't do much. I just finished tearing out my floor, um, replacing that because I was like, whatever. That's something. Can we boot the? Thank you. Something that we can finish or whatever. Um, and then I realized, wait, I could probably make panes of glass. Yeah, could did that. So my floor is finished finally. It's not blocks anymore. However, I am fucking devastated. I accidentally killed my creeper fighting a zombie. Craft of the Mine! Hi, Craig. Welcome back. It's nice to see you. How are you? What are you up to? I screamed when my fucking creeper died. I was so devastated, like for realsies. Genuinely devastated. I put the boat back because I think he just got stuck in the boat, so I'm hoping another one gets stuck in the boat. I know also, like, it's a stupid thing to be mad about because he would have died when I'm terraforming all that shit anyways. Um, yeah, the pet bomb, literally, the fucking pet bomb. I know he's gonna die when I terraform this shit anyways, but it made me so upset. I was like, I also have a fucking horror story from last night. Okay, I am a bug girly. I like bugs. I fuck with bugs. But there is one bug I cannot fuck with. I refer to them as silverfish, but they're technically called house centipedes. The real silverfish, I think, would be fine, but house centipedes are fucking disgusting. I hate them. And the other night, oh, also my farm is popping. Last night, I'm laying in bed. I'm reading webtoons on my little phone. So the screen's kind of low because it's 11:30 at night, and my cat starts batting at this thing I have. I don't think that was ready, was it? No, they fucking weren't. Oh my god, how do you even tell? I'll leave it. My cat starts batting at this thing that's like leaning up against my wall, like in the corner. And so, yeah, I fucking hate those pieces of shit. So I'm like, like I shine the light of my phone screen, not even like the flashlight, the screen at her, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, is there something you need in there? And she like I go to move it, and so she moves, and I get in there, and there's a toy at the bottom or in the corner. So I'm like, oh, she must be trying to get this toy. But then I see something on the wall, and I'm like, it's real dark, like I just, but it's obviously like I'm like, that's a bug. Maybe that's what she's trying to get at. And I'm like, at first I'm like, is it a moth? But then I instinctively realize it's a fucking silverfish. And so I get out of bed and I turn on the light, and sure as shit, it was a fucking silverfish. And I'm like, okay, maybe I fucking hate grass. Grass looks stupid. I'm so mad I'm gonna have to mow the lawn all the time. I tell myself, maybe I will try and do what I always do and catch it in a jar and let it go. And then he starts moving and he's like, you know, they're fast and shit. And so I'm like, no, no, I'm not doing it. I have to kill it. And I pick up a shoe. And then I'm sitting there doing that thing. And like, literally anything else, spiders, normal centipedes, I will catch them. I will release them. It is no problem. I am not scared of them. It is fine. But I'm sitting here with my fucking shoe and I'm doing that thing. If you fucking hate spiders, you know what I'm talking about. I'm doing that thing where you're holding the shoe and you're like, I can't. What if I smash it and then I miss and it falls and then it runs and it touches me? It was the whole fucking thing. And then when I do smash it, it started making noise. And it's like, oh my god. Oh, it was awful. Oh my god. Oh. And then I was like, literally on my last stream 2 nights prior, I was just talking about how much I fucking hate these pieces of shit. And I've never seen one in this house. Like, I fucking cursed myself, bro. I cursed myself. So yeah, that's my horror story for today. What's up with you? I need wool. I don't have my shears on me. Fuck. I might just try to take him home. But like, will I really need that much wool that I should take him home? Where'd he go? Okay, let me go find a lead. Let me take some of these. Thank you. Yes, yes, very good. Fuck off! Am I out of pocket space? I am. Let's see. What should I dump? Let's get rid of that. Oh my god, horse! Why am I using my fucking axe, bro? I'm wasting that shit. Fucking grass. I'm literally about to install a mod that grass doesn't fucking grow. This is here, yes? Did I get any spruce slings? No, fuck. I forgot you have to attack the leaves for that. How's this looking spiffy? Oh, I have some blocks left on the top. Oh my gosh, it looks so flat and pretty when they're actually evened out like that. Wow. All right. Get rid of these. Okay. I still don't know where the fuck I'm gonna put my stairs, so that's cool. Do I have any sand? 3 sand. I'll need to get more sand. Yeah. I don't really know if I'm gonna need this, but like, I guess I'll keep it on hand for now. This I know I'm gonna need. That might be my project next, but I really need to get some fucking stairs in. Shit. I need a floor plan. Oop. Oh, but also, like, shout out to my cat for saving my fucking life last night. For real. Also, like, when I moved it and exposed the fucking bug, she didn't give a shit. Like, I was scared she was gonna try to play with it, and I was like, I was gonna be fucked. But she didn't even care, and I was like, oh, okay, just show me where it's at and leave. Pop off, queen. I also need more stone. Bricks. Did I decide, am I gonna bring this one in? 19. Okay, I think I need it to be an even number. So I really might bring that in. One. On that side. Oh, then we could like scoot that over one and then it'd be, instead of being flush with the wall, maybe it'd have like blocks on both sides. Yeah, let's do that. Fuck it. Oop. Oh, right. Damn, that made a lot. Holy fuck. Okay. Shut up. Okay, so get those. Perfect. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then the door, I'll move over one. Laughable because I already moved the door and all of this shit once to get it even. Haha. Guess I'll do it again. torches. What, buddy? What? Come here. Why are you screaming at me? Come in. Come sit up here. What are you doing? Oh my god, he's just gonna stare at me and scream. And now he's wow. Yes, yes, come here. Come sit in the boat. Please. A nice little boat for you. He stopped looking at me. He doesn't give a shit. Yes, I'm still using stone tools. I have more important things to do than look for iron. Actually, I might have iron in the furnace. I should go look. It's gonna look lovely. And it's gonna make these crooked, but like that's fine because the other one's just gonna have a window in it, so it doesn't really matter because they're not gonna match anyways. You know? Okay, boop, boop, boop. Hey. You and you. When the flowers I plant immediately get in my freaking way. Okay, I think I got it up to there. And 2 across. Yes. No. Unless, yes, because I had it out to here. Okay. 2 across. Like that. Hey. Hey. Excellent. Also realized while I was playing off stream that, oh my god, Minecraft thunderstorms? That shit's great. That shit's amazing. I'm obsessed. Okay. Now, we are going to... Oh, I should pull up my house inspo. If report. There we go. Yes, good. Excellent. Now, I was going to do windows. $18 across. Okay. my roof? So here, let me center. Okay. Am I wrong? Did I really need this to be odd? Did I just fuck this up? I just fucked this up. Oh my god. Yeah, I just fucked this up. Oh my god. Because I did need it split in the middle. So I must have already done that once. When I fucked that shit up earlier. Shit. Yeah, no. Because earlier, off stream, I was like, okay, I'm gonna add an extra because it was only 4 wide. I was like, I'll just bring that out. Fuck you, bitch! I was like, I'll just bring that out. And then that'll, even it where I need it to be. So stupid. But that looks nice. Can't make it too small though, so I don't want to bring the other side in. Already bread? No? Oh, I had stone in there. Well, that creeper just ruined my day, so good night. Isn't bread 3 wheat? Yes, thank you. I eat bread. Oh man, that too. A waste of the stone I just made. Maybe I should like map this. Nervous. So I'm thinking, and maybe 2 apart. Another. So that maybe 3 apart. Maybe we'll do 3 apart. Or we could do windows that are 3 wide. Do giant windows, and then I wouldn't have to move everything. I have to do this, right? I don't know if I would like it 3 wide though, because I do them 3 apart. Well, here, let's look. That's 5 on that side and 3 on that side. So we could actually not worry about that shit I was worrying about. And just scoot everything. Well, I might still worry about it. Hang on. It's still gonna be uneven. It's 4 on that side, 3 on this side. Oh, wait. Oh my god, it's perfect. Holy shit. Nice. Okay, cool. Perfect. Cool. Awesome. I take... I need more glass. Okay, that's fine. Make them go all the way up to the ceiling, but I think that might look kind of stupid. I want big windows. Oh, fuck. I need way more stone blocks, too, so I am gonna have to fuck around with that shit. Oh, oops. Oh yeah, that's something else that I did. I fucking fixed my water issues in my little quote hot spring. So I'm really excited about that. That came out good. No, fuck you. So that looks good. That looks really good. Very exciting. The water is flat. It is calm. It is beautiful. No, thank you. Okay. Now I probably have more than enough, I would say. Oh, okay, that means it's time. Oh shit, I forgot. Got distracted. Fuck that creeper, dude. I was like, come live in the boat, and he said, fuck you. Fuck your house. Okay. And then over here, I want a big window. Oh, the windows touch the ground. Ooh, that might make it look okay to touch the ceiling. I might do that. Maybe not that big, like, okay. Hmm. How'd they do that? It's got like a fancy like border and stuff. Hmm. Interesting. Maybe I'll... No, I'm definitely pulling that. Thank you. Well, I forgot. I'm probably... my flowers! I forgot I wasn't gonna have ground out here. Like, I'm gonna... It's not gonna be grass. R.I.P. Thank you. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. And then we'll make the bigger windows. The tall windows. And they won't touch the ceiling, so that's actually kind of nice. Because I forgot about the fact that it's not a whole block. Now I'll be able to see my threats and my enemies at all times. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's so cute. So cute. Okay, okay. I might fucking move that and do 2 windows. I don't know. We don't need windows everywhere, but the idea is kind of nice, you know? Okay, we're done. Thank you. We have a lot. Thank you. Take that. And I will put all of that in there. And I should go plant those other freaking wheat seeds. My farm is gonna be huge. Okay, there we go. I see now. Which ones are done? I think I understand. Oh my god, this fucking asshole.
Huh?
Fuck off.
Huh? Huh? Huh?
Hit him. Oh my god, that's a lot of seeds actually. Hold the fuck up. But like, what else am I gonna do with them, right? Shut up. Let's back up. Hmm. Contemplating. Hmm. I'm wondering if I want, like, the corners to be different. I cannot decide. Oh, I'm gonna need a lot of birch wood, actually. I just realized because it's gonna be my roof. I'm surprised we're not crawling with enemies yet. Just that one? That's kind of crazy. Oh, there's a zombie. Um, actually, I'm pretty hungry, huh? Maybe I shouldn't be playing around. Hang on. Which weed do I have? 7. Excellent. Loser. Loser, dumbass, idiot. Stinky. Oh, Skeleton's gone. Okay, I showed the hot springs. Came out so nice. It took me a second, but it's easier than I expected. I'm gonna fill it with frogs. Eventually. What the fuck? Oh? No thank you. I think I will avoid you. I don't trust you. Oh, you poisoned my ass, you bitch. You whore. Get out of here. Yeah, fuck you. We sleep. Oh my god, no! No! Fuck me, bro! Are we serious? These creepers are gonna drive me nuts! Oh my god. Okay. Can I have it 2 stairs wide or 3? Must have been 2. Oops. Oh no, it must have been 3, okay. Yep, that's 3 right there. So irritating! Actually, I might have some more left, huh? No, okay, that's fine. Just make more! We're not? The fuck? Oh, I probably need, like, sticks or something. Yeah, okay. Oh, it's because I didn't delete. I'm dumb. Thank you. Oh my god. Okay, actually, I wonder what he's holding this time. He's gonna walk away, that's fine. Fuck him. I'm wrong.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Whatever.
Huh?
I'm gonna have to go find food. I'm just gonna go kill some fucking fish. I killed off too many, but there are none left. Okay, get in your boat. Well, oh my fucking god, this guy. Hey, fish, please. And then there you go. 16. I'm gonna need some stairs to... No, not that kind, this kind. Maybe like 2 sets? Maybe... Okay. And then we put more cobblestone in furnace. Okay. Yes. Okay, so I was going to boop boom. Yeah, all the way up. It's gonna have to be more than that. So. E. It's gonna have to go all the way out. Hmm. Can't decide if I want to fill in the middle. Hmm. Is 3 wide enough? I don't know if 3 wide is gonna be enough. I'm gonna have to start working on the upstairs for real. Okay, well, for now, let's just... is gonna be a balcony. Um, let's just do these, I guess. Or do I make stone ones? I should make stone ones. I should just make a second furnace. What am I doing? I have a second furnace. Hold up. I'll put that out, bitch. And then get some of the extra birch wood. And then cobblestone. Cool. Yes. Okay. Now let's test the balcony. Oops. Oh yeah, no, that's plenty of space. That should be fine. Okay. No, that's gonna need to stay that way because you can see that in the house. Don't want that to be stone. That would look dumb. Interesting. God, why do I need to eat so much? My farm is not producing. Oh my god, just go to sleep. Go to sleep hungry. No dinner for you tonight. And then I'm gonna go just swoop over to an island and kill all of its livestock. And it'll be great. I don't know if there's anything on this island, but we're gonna find out. Also don't think I've collected any blue flowers, so I'm gonna do that real quick. Perfect. You dye recipes. Excellent. I want to take you home. Thank you. Cow. Hi. Sorry, buddy. Love you. Oh my god, what if I raised all of my animals on this island? That would be cool. Instead of on my island, that would be kind of neat. Might do that. Maybe I should start putting coal in my furnace. I do have a lot now. Before I had none, but now I'm... The pockets are getting pretty full of coal. Maybe I'll do that. Stop wasting my other resources. Okay. There's another one. Excellent. Okay. Go get that cow. Hey, oh, maybe I can make myself some leather armor now, too. 'Cause I am Nikki. I keep trying to run, but I'm so hungry I can't. Okay, I take, and you can have this. Thank you. And please make that for me. Thank you. And then... Let's see, what do I need to make leather armor? Oh, I only have 3. How much do I have in here? So that's 7. I need 8. I could make the leather pants. Have something at least. Okay. It looks so dumb. Because with my shirt being so short, and then, oh my god. Anyways. Ooh. That fills a lot of bars. To replace the one the creeper took out. That was the wrong spot. Oh no, it wasn't. Why is it on that side of the block? The fuck? The fuck? Why? Why are you doing that? Whatever, it's fine. Yes. Wait, how am I... If I want to have fucking animals on a secluded island, how would I even get... I don't have to make a bridge. Can't get animals on the island. Okay. Oh, I could do more cobblestone. Let's do that. Do I have more cobblestone in here? No, I'm really surprised I mean, I do remember trashing some of my shit, but I'm kind of surprised I don't have any cobblestone left. I'll just start terraforming a little bit. It'll be fine. I will also switch you out for that. Thank you very much. Oh, what am I doing? Stack those. Oh, right. And I don't have any cobblestone left to do that. That was dumb of me. This is killing two birds with one stone. It gives me more stones. Hi! Are you a silverfish? Am I gonna have to squish you too? How are you? Welcome. Bro, I fucking hate those things. There's one in my room last night. 0 out of 10. A silver king. Valid. In that case, you're safe. For now. How are you? What are you doing? Hey, let's see. I have dirt for days. Actually, I just remembered I should go check on my farm. Wonder if I should put my farm on that island. I don't mind it being out here. Maybe not the whole farm. Maybe just the animals. I'm running out of dirt. No terraforming? I think might actually not take me as long as I thought it was going to. And that is actually why I've been avoiding it, because I was like, there's a lot here. I really don't want to deal with it. I don't think it's going too bad. Whoops. Oh. Gang meeting over there. Maybe it's not that I was starving and couldn't run. Maybe it's the fact that I can't run because I'm stupid. I just keep doing it wrong. Oh, replenish your coal too. Does it take a whole coal to do a thing? Oh. Wow, I thought it would take an entire coal for each. Okay, pop off. The fuck else was I about to do? Oh, I was getting dirt. Right. Do I have any dirt left? Yeah. Plenty. Oh, and I need to make another thing. Pickaxe. Maybe I don't want to play outside right now. I think these guys are just gonna annoy the shit out of me. Yeah, I don't feel like dealing with them. Ugh, why are the children so swift and angry? Oh my god, there's so many skeletons. Oh my god, that's what. I fucking hate this guy. Ah! I was making a retreat. I was making a fucking retreat! At least all my shit's right here. It's fine, I guess. It's not fine, but I'm gonna pretend it's fine. Fuck off! Organize my stupid pockets. That's valid. I really am suffering. You're in for a show. What do I have clay in my pockets for? What do I have all these flowers for? Just cuz? Oh my god, I have iron. The fuck? Go put that in the furnace, bro. Take that. Shit. Okay. Do that, please. And then do that. Yeah, cool. Awesome. Those are kind of cool. What the fuck? I don't need it. It's fine. Food. Stuff I'm working with. Put the clay away. I don't fucking need that. Put the flowers away. I don't fucking want to put more shit in my garden. I don't need my bucket right now. I don't need those right now. Okay, and I'm pretty sure I don't have a bow anymore, so. Gracias for el content. De nada. De nada for real. Okay, these. Okay. Nope. Okay, got it. Nah, let's do that later, because maybe at night I can just get up there and then just, you know, they'll leave me alone because I'll be on the roof, and then I can set all my shit up for that stupid balcony, and it'll be fine when the content is just me yelling at myself and breaking blocks. I should go mining. You know? Find some fucking materials! Instead of these caveman tools. Oh yeah, my garden. Let me go get some fucking food. Oh, I need to make a new hoe. Let me do that really quick. That's why I've been ignoring it, because I can't plant anything, because I don't have a hoe. Perfect. Oh my gosh, is it all done? Holy shit. Oh, not all of it, but quite a bit of it. No, it's not yet. It ain't much, but it's honest work. Heck yeah. Oops. Nice. Shut up. Should have brought my seeds. Oh shit. Okay, I don't need to bring my seeds. That's a lot of fucking seeds I just got. What the fuck? I'm never gonna starve again, bro. You see this shit? A whole fucking stack. The fuck? Today at work, I was like getting ready to leave, and I told my coworker I'm gonna go play Minecraft all night. And she goes, "Oh my god, do you have a Switch? We should play together! I play all the time and no one ever wants to play with me." And I was like, I hated Minecraft until I started playing it alone on this very specific server. Please, no. No! Also on the Switch. I like how more of it is, like, ripening as I'm standing here. Love that for me. I have so much fucking food. Holy shit. This fucking... Oh my god, this fucking farm. Oh. There's a lot of wheat here. A lot. I could start a bakery with all this wheat, bro. also forgot my wallet today, and it made me really angry. I'm thinking about this because I really want ice cream. So there were new flavors of ice cream at work, and I really wanted to buy some and take it home. But I forgot my wallet, so I couldn't take any ice cream home. What time is it? Me thinking about door dashing ice cream. They're probably closing. Never mind. I wonder if there's any in the house. Bread. A lot of bread. Can I make a hamburger? No, okay. That's fine. I'll just eat like a peasant. Okay, so maybe that's where I will kind of break off. I do want stone down that way. Where my like hot spring is. This looks funny, so I'm just gonna fuck around with that a little bit. Oops. Plant, plant, plant. It is what I do best. Oh shit, I need to get more cherry wood too. I keep forgetting about it. If I'm gonna do the second story, I need more cherry wood. But I will go up there and I will start working on the balcony a little bit more. These. Thank you. Bam! Dies. And I need like stone railing. Ice Crunch ASMR. However, they have like these cute little doodads on the top. I think it's here. No, you need to come in. Sorry. Oh yeah, I broke my fucking pickaxe. Wait, if that's the case... Yeah, no. Leave that there, and then I will bring more of these. And... Forgot how far apart the windows are. That's gonna affect this heavily. Okay. What are they? 4? 3. Okay, 3. So 3, and then window, window. Window, window. 1, 2, 3. No, fuck. Well, here, do that, and then take that one out. Oh my fucking god. That was dumb of me, actually. That was really dumb of me. Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to put one of those on the bottom. Stupid ass. This 6 might be enough, actually. Thank you. Oh. I'll just sleep, that'll be fine. My stupid pants, oh my god. Nice. Okay. What's up, buddy? Boo. Oh, fuck. 6 was 1 short. That feels like too much. Hold up. Fuck, I forgot there isn't a middle because... Okay, so I think I will do here. So bring that over too. And then... And then 5. Fuck off. Haha. Sun's out. Haha. Here. Ooh. Maybe. Yep, I knew it. It was 1 over from where I wanted it. Stupid. Stupid dumb. Okay, that should be right. Yes, perfect. Uh... And let's go get some more trees. Let's plant more flowers too. Oh. the epic music, and I'm just sitting here like, let's cut some trees. 9 a.m. adventure to save a maiden? Fuck yeah, we are. Exactly what's going on. It's actually from Nier Automata, 10 out of 10. Fantastic game, fantastic soundtrack. Be the Chad you were meant to be. R.I.P. my ex. How much did I get? 34? Oh, 26. Which equates to... Oh, that's... I mean, that's not enough, but... It's a start. Hello, Mr. Chicken. And I'm gonna plant these ones on the mountain because the trees I planted. I wish that this shit would just spawn more. Like, ugh. Plants flowers instead of actually having petals fall on the ground. Even when I plant them, like, they don't grow. You just sit stagnant. So while I'm going down, I'm going to plant the flowers. My house looks so fucking cute! Hey. Fuck yeah, I have a bunch more. I'm so good at planting. Plant all the fucking things. Thanks for the arrows, you dumb bitches. How many high did I do? Like 4? I'll have to look. See, I knew it wasn't gonna be anywhere near enough. Oh my god. Oh shit. Nope. That's... I mean, that's right. I guess. It looks a little silly, but it'll be fine. I knew I was gonna do that. That's why I wasn't on the fucking side at first. Or on top of the wall. Okay. See how tall I made the walls in the basement or the first floor. Oh, bread only fills you for 2? That's dumb. It's okay, I have a lot of it. I got a lot of wheat to make more. Shut up. Oh shit, no. What? Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I need to make another slab. And an axe. Oh, an axe. Oh yeah, how tall? Five. Okay. And then I also want to do... Oop. Shut up. I'm busy. I'm busy. Okay. And do. See. Oh shit. It's a lot taller than I expected it to be. Boop. Then I want to put stairs. Oh shit, fuck. I forgot that it's a fucking half block. Okay, we're just gonna... I don't want to waste a slab, so I'm gonna pull him out and then take the slab. Okay, that's fine. Oh my god! Dang! What the fuck? A whole family. The way he's holding the meat. That wasn't a lot of XP. You guys suck. Yeah, I wanted to take... Oh, shit. This one. Oh, fuck! That wasn't the one I was working on. Well, here, put that... Shit. Working on this one. Yeah. Not what I wanted. But I am gonna take these out too and replace them with stairs. Oops. Or do I? No, I want the stairs lower, I think, so that was fine. Well... The fact that these are a half block is getting me real fucked up. Because even if I wanted the stairs lower, I kind of really can't have them be lower. I think I want to bring... Hang on. I think I want to bring this out too, actually. So... It's gonna make it wider than the house, so I'm gonna have to bring the house out more. Shit. Ugh. I am fucking shit up left and right for real. Okay. I want the pillars down there exactly where they are, but I think I want to bring... I want it like... I don't even know if I'll be able to do that. Oh my god, this is gonna be a whole thing. I'm not sure how to get what I am envisioning. Need to do stairs. Lots of stairs. I'm glad you're enjoying the soundtrack. What the? Oh, what the fuck? Is there a fucking zombie in here? Where'd all my torches go? Oh, let me put another torch in here. The fuck? It sounds like they're in my house. They're in my walls. There we go. As you should. Fuck you. Die. Haha. Haha. You know, if I made this window sooner, I actually could have watched them kill the traveling salesman. Womp womp. Okay, so. Might end up bringing that up more maybe. Well, no, because that's even with my floor, so I don't want to do that. But I want to... Shit. This is gonna be annoying, huh? Okay, I want to do this. Yeah. Okay. And then in here, I want to also have, like... I don't like how thin these are. I might end up making them completely across. Oh no. Like, 3 across. Which is, you know, where the walls are, but fuck me, I guess. I wanted a little bit of space between the... It should look okay. I don't like that. Like, now it's gonna be only window. But it'll buff. It'll buff. And I'll have to put fucking blocks on all of those. God damn it. Hello? Oh, right. Those are my stairs. I need to put the blocks here. Oh? Whoops. And then 2, and then... Good. Take them. Hey. My stream is giving Skyrim. Why? Just because the music? I miss Skyrim so much. I've been thinking about restarting, actually. Oh fuck, I missed that one. Skyrim's so good. So I can hoard more? Fuck yeah, so I can hoard more. It's been so long, I don't even remember what the fuck I was doing. You know what I mean? And my wife is missing? Like, the fuck? I don't know what happened to my wife. Nice. I was scared I was gonna fuck up the angle. And then we'll do this. Fuck. She said, fuck you and the kids. Like, you're so right, though, because I really did leave my wife and start hanging out with a hot vampire chick instead, so... I don't blame her, you know? The fact that I can't marry the hot vampire chick burns my buns. I'm so mad about it. Fuck is her name? Serena? I love her. And she's so interesting as a character, like, why can't I marry her? Welcome to the man world. We can't marry them all. Womp womp. Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to bring my house forward. Weren't they like 5 apart? Hang on. 6. Let me try. That wasn't right either. Shit. What the fuck? Okay, so just move that one over 1. Here. And then we'll have 1 there when I get the stairs in. Yes. And then we need to finish that too. Yes, those are all set, right? Okay. In here? Oh, nice. Excellent, excellent. So I can do that. I can do this. Oops, the fuck? Excellent. Where the fuck are these zombies, bro? Oops, the fuck? There, okay. Balcony is good. I'm actually gonna maybe make that a double door now. That would look nice, I guess. I don't know. I just don't really like the look it's giving. That's better. I like that. And I don't know if I wanna do this maybe? And then fucking make little stairs. It'll be fine. I'll reach it from here, actually. No? Come on. The fuck? Why? Really? I mean, it works. Oh, right, because the fucking... Okay, I'm dumb. The fucking floor is a half space. Oh! I missed it. You were probably so right. It's probably amazing. I would just like to take a moment. This bitch was gonna have a pink rectangle with a wraparound porch and call it a day. Look at what I have achieved. Wow. We're doing it. I am really annoyed that I'm bringing everything forward, but it'll be fine, I guess. This is like the 6 millionth time I've redone this part of my house. Oh wait, those can stay, dumbass. Oh, it's spiders tonight. Okay, okay. Night of the spiders. I'll take it. They're much less annoying than literally every other enemy on the face of the planet. Okay, I take that back. The Enderman's pretty chill. Hello? Are you gonna make me eat my- You're gonna make me eat my words. Okay, that's fine. Fucking zombie. I'm going to bed. Good night. Oh, why am I in chat again? Get out of there. Oh wait, I did that one already. Oh wait, no, two apart, two apart. Oh, the fuck? Why is that my catchphrase today? Okay. Oh. Another beautiful, beautiful, whatever you want to call this. Oh, my stairs. I think I'm getting comfortable enough with the stairs that I might be able to brave starting a roof. Maybe. But I don't know. And that makes me nervous. Bro. I low-key want to bring it out one more block. Yeah, that looks weird. And I'll redo all of that shit again. I'm a dumb, stupid dumb. Does that look better? Oh yeah, I like that a lot. Okay, cool. Wait. No, yeah, keep going. Yeah. I don't need to waste those ones on the bottom, do I? Whatever. It's fine. Let's see news for like 1 week and stuff goes bonkers. What news? Yeah, that's oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I did hear about that. I heard about that quite a while ago. I'm really surprised you haven't heard about that yet. Comfy content is all I'm here to do now. I'm glad you appreciate it. Thanks for joining. It's like Lofi chill beats, but with a little gremlin screaming every couple minutes. I watch a VTuber scream. As you should, as you should. Okay, forgot about my door. Break that. At the door, in again. Perfect. I need to go get wood. Oh, I have a little bit. Not a lot, but you know. Enough to at least block that off for now. The fucking grass. My wheat. The grass is fucking ugly and annoying. And it grows too fast. Oh shit, I'm hungry. Give. I need. And these ones are like on the edge of the biome, so I feel like if I deforest it a little bit, it's like, whatever. You know? I should kill that sheep. I need wool. Where are you at? Oh yeah, I forgot I have shears. I was gonna go get them. And then I didn't. Because I could shear the sheep and then, you know, they'll keep making me wool and then they won't be dead. Can you give me like some baby trees, please? Still not enough. Baby trees? One. R.I.P. the cherry trees. It's okay. I will plant more. They'll be fine. It'll be fine. They don't know. And plus, they're like, you know, they're being reborn as my house, you know? And then as my house, they'll live on forever. Until a creeper shows up. Then they'll die. Again. I'm just a capitalist. First thing you learn when you come to what, Earth? What the fuck should I call this shit? The human world? Capitalism. They are nice. I'm not gonna lie. They're pretty. I wonder if my sunsets look different because of my texture pack. Okay, Gonna come through with some planting. Hello, Mr. Spider. Don't mind me. I'm just planting. I am not here to hurt you. I'm just here to plant. Aw, man. Come on, dude. I'm planting. I'm not doing nothing. Oops. Shut up. I hate you. The skeletons piss me the fuck off, bro. Like, so much. Go away. I'm busy. Oh, I'm gonna die. Maybe I should go home. Ah! I hate it here! I was like, I just need to eat a piece of bread. I just need to eat a piece of bread. And I was like, no, that'll make me walk so fucking slow. Hang on, I just gotta get down the fucking mountain. Explodes. Fuck off. Stupid babies. No! No! Go away! You two, you're still here? Are we serious? Come here. Come fight me. Stupid bitch. Okay. Fuck that egg. The fuck? You... Oh, my pickaxe. Okay, that's fine. Go get it. Just have to kill this bitch first. Come here, you dumb bitch. Okay. We're good. Everything's fine. Where's my pickaxe? Where's my shit? Bro, my pockets were full! Oh, there's my pickaxe. I'm stupid. But my pockets were full. I'm missing stuff. What am I missing? Am I missing anything important? Plant this tree. Let's put it maybe here. Got mugged for real. R.I.P. That's tragic. Wheat. Whoop! Oh my god. So many fucking seeds, dude. much wheat did I get? 61! Holy shit! Good for me. Can I, like, sell the seeds? I have a lot of fucking seeds. Make some bread. Nice. Oh, put your pants on. Okay. Now we'll work on the second story a little bit more. Oh yeah, I need to finish that. Need to tear that out. Okay, I'll do that really quick. Is there a way to actually, like, extract glass without fucking breaking it? Oh, maybe I'm gonna figure it out. Hang on. Never mind. I'm not figuring it out. I'm just gonna end up breaking it. R.I.P. Oop! There it goes. It was nice knowing ya. The outside of my house is gonna be lovely, and then the inside is gonna be... like... Huh? Will there be a guest room? I could probably definitely swing a guest room. My house is plenty big. I think I probably should, yeah, go ahead and do a guest room. I need to figure out what kind of furniture they have. So you can visit? Absolutely, absolutely. I need to, like, okay, so I need to figure out what kind of furniture there is. If there's nothing I like, I need to find mods with good furniture, because it is very important to me that my house look very nice. Because I like to make houses, and I want furniture. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to look into it. I don't know what else you can make, but I have a feeling I'm not gonna like it. You know what I mean? Oh, I need to have glass paints. I need glass paints. Well, this one goes up, so let's do that real quick. Goes up to here. And I have it just 2 across. But I might make it 4 across, honestly. And I need to figure out, like, my room layout also. I should, like, draw up a floor plan. Fuck. Well, here, hang on. Ah! Oh, that was so close. I was scared. Okay, so boop, boop, boop. And then these little guys. Oops! Do I have any more? No, but I can make one. About to get one of them riveting sunsets again. We can witness from the rooftops. Once more. I like how, like, you start seeing the stars, you know? Yeah, that's nice. The Cherry Castle, that's a pretty good name, actually. Especially considering, oh my god, they are really pretty. Especially considering, like, that shit I have in the middle, it's giving very castle vibes. Ooh. Nice. This stuff, this is giving medieval castle vibes. Bro, the moon splits and shit, they do the phases. You like them because you don't have the attention span to watch real sunsets. That's valid. I don't go outside to do that, so, you know. I don't be looking at those. Minecraft is just the right amount of time. That's true, yeah. Like, sunset takes a minute, huh? Let me, like, get in here. Burp. Oh, fuck. I didn't consider that I do need even more of these. I was like, yeah, 6 is fine. Shit! Biffed that one really bad. Okay. Oh, am I gonna make the window too? Should I do 3? I'm gonna do 3. I'm doing 4 across, so. Yeah, that'll be a nice window. But I need to get the window stuff out of my thing. Should have some left, right? Yes. And then I need to make more of those slabs. Let's just mark. Oops. Perfect. Nice. Okay. And we can finish the slabs. No, do not, do not, do not, do not, don't you dare. That creeper better leave me the fuck alone, bro. Oh man, is he following me upstairs? No, thank you. No solicitors. Oh, he couldn't even figure it out. He's too stupid. Wait. No, I just wanted it two across. God damn. I'm gonna break another pane. Oh. What? 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 Oh, it's so weird. It's so hard to see that. Probably a building simulator. You're playing a building simulator. Yes. Absolutely. Meanwhile, you're playing a FedEx simulator? Interesting. I'm intrigued. Oh shit. Are these the same width apart? Or not? I made this one wider. This one's window is gonna be 3 across. Death Stranding. I think it's funny that, like, doing anything like this in real life, absolutely the fuck not. But in a game? Don't mind if I do. Okay. Um... Hmm. Trying to think about where I'm gonna put the stairs. Why did I think there was stuff on the ground out there? I, like, need stairs to get up, you know? I think that I'm gonna do 2 bedrooms here, though. I don't want to do the stairs there. So I'm thinking maybe here? Maybe? Hmm. I think I'm out of birch stairs, aren't I? Yes. Oh, wait, I should make it out of this shit. Can I? No? Oh, I don't have any in my hands. Hang on. Let's see. Get that out of here. That out of here. Those for now. Let me take that glass. Okay, yes! I think I need a 5. Okay, so... This is gonna make me really annoyed. Let's use dirt. Then I can just like beat the shit out of it with my hand when I'm done. Oops. Actually needs to be there. Hey. So that was a little bit dumb of me, but it works. It's not too bad. Should I move it over? So I kind of want like a little room under there too, so I might move it over actually. Idea. Idea. I like... Oh, that won't work. Ah, no, my my window. I'll move the fucking window. I'm sick of breaking glass. So annoying. Pick it up. Craft bench. Where's my craft bench? I can't see. I don't have eyeballs. Okay, and then deal with that shit in a second. Oops. Okay. Hello? Can I help you? Well, now I'm gonna have fucking monsters falling down my stairs. You need to move over more. Oh. Maybe I'll do this. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I'll move the window over a little more, RIP. It's fine, I can just make it more. Hey. I think that's an okay spot. No! Why? Ooh. Whatever, it can stay there. Why do I still have a whole entire fucking stack of seeds on me? What's I looking for? Oh. Fence? I have something in my pocket. From the last time a fucking creeper blew it up. Okay, I think it looks fucking stupid in that spot, actually. I really liked where it was over there. So I might actually flip the stairs. Everything's fine. Okay. So. I need to move it over more. Maybe, depending. But I'm pretty sure I will have to. Because the PC will never die. Okay, now. Start them like here. I'm thinking. Hey. Oops. Okay, one more set. Okay. Nice. This the screams of a PC user. Is the top floor meant for combat training? Hell no, that's what the basement's for. I also just realized, can you make, like, normal walls? I don't want to use a whole fucking block for this. I'm dumb. You. And you. So no. Ugh. I wonder if I could use slabs. But I could do slabs. Yeah. Let's do slabs. Oh, here, put coal in there. Yeah. Slabs. And then I think this one I might do a cherry door. It'll be like a secret. No! I can't use slabs. They don't go sideways. I could do 3 stairs across. I guess. And then just kind of... Okay, we can do that. Biggest staircase in the world. Nope, 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 nope. Okay. Yes. Very nice. Except for where the ceiling isn't gonna be connected. That's cool. That's awesome. Whatever. It's fine. Should I leave a hole or should I just make it gray? That's where the door is gonna be. Oops. The fuck did I do that for? I don't know what's gonna be in here, but... Secret door! That's actually gonna annoy the shit out of me. I might have to fill it in. That looks so stupid. That's what I was thinking, yeah, because it's kind of in, like, the quote what I'm calling kitchen. But, I don't know. the room's shaped weird because I don't know. We'll see. That's not what I wanted. This. Thank you. Okay. Like, now I feel like it should be going this way. Because the kitchen's here. I don't know. Oh my god. Running out real quick. The stairs are cute. I like them. Gonna go get rid of the outside stick. Never mind. That bitch has a good bow. Hold the fuck up. You whore. That makes me mad. Defend your property. I keep dying. I'm only a level 6. And he has a purple bow. That shit has to be good as fuck, right? I need to figure out where to put the fucking basement stairs. I also want like an understair thing for those two. So I don't know. Wait, I know where to put the chest now. I think. Hang on, let me look. I'm gonna make this my bedroom. And we could put it like here. And then... Well, I'm probably gonna want my bed center, huh? Maybe I should put my bed on this side. I'm gonna have a double wide bed. Oh, that's tiny. Hits him with bread. Get out of here. So, let's see. I put my bed in the corner. It's coming together nicely. Purple bow, bitch. Come attack me, please. I want your bow. Come here. Meh. Meh, 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 meh. Meh. Shit. That's why I don't defend my property, bro. I can't. I'm defenseless. God damn. I can't. Why are you outside my house? What did he oh, gunpowder. So we can make a gun? Go get my wheat. Oh yeah, I need to do the roofs. I need a roof on this thing. Ripe for the pickings. That one wasn't ripe. Oops. They give me so many fucking seeds. What do you think this is? Just one little guy. What the fuck? 53. That wasn't done. Oops. Neither was that. What the fuck is this? Bread. Never go hungry again. Okay, I should probably get more wood. What is that? Oh, it's the glass. I'm like, what's that shit floating? The glass. It's the unfinished glass. Not good enough. Oh, baby, baby tree, baby tree. Oh, I'm gonna take the fucking eggs. Because why not? Aw. Oh, this is so cute. Hmm. Interesting. want to go down there. Oh. Oof. There we go. That was a good parkour move. I'm gonna have so many fucking windows, dude. And I'm already like, I'm setting up my perimeter, right? But I keep thinking, I'm gonna end up having to bust some of this shit out for fucking windows. For sure. Because I am not done with those. How many blocks up is this? 4? I think this is block, the top block. Yeah. How am I gonna do the ceiling? Oh, well, wait a second. No, we got this, we got this. How? Stupid ass. Okay. You guys just fucking fly? Maybe the fucking top floor is a training ground. What the fuck? I think it is because it's not well lit, probably. After I finish the walls, I'll have to put in some lights. You. These are temporary. They'll be fine. Shut up. Okay. Is that all my cherry wood? Yes. Oh, 28 more. What are you gonna do about it, dude? Stupid, smelly. Haha. Get wrecked. Chef's kiss. You, please, thank you. Merp, merp. At least I think that's... Do I need to go up one more? I need to go up one more. Monsters have rights. As a monster, I cannot argue that point. However, zombies are trying to kill me, so you know, and they're a little bit stupid, so I'm gonna laugh at them, right? You know? Yeah, I need to go up one more. I'm really scared to do the roof. I don't want to do the roof. I'm gonna fuck the roof up. Of course I do it. Take. That is a lot of glass. Holy shit. Probably a lot more than I need, but alright. I just need to get more wood. I'm getting close to being done there. These cherry slabs. I'm gonna make another axe. But I duplicate stuff away at least. Should trash that garbage. Gravel. I don't really think I need these anymore either. Well, I will need to them to make the stairs, so I will keep them. I need the stairs for the roof of that thing. Am I? Yeah, yeah, you like that. Oh my god, I just remembered I want ice cream. Look at this shit. Look how stupid that looks. I'm so angry about it. But my door fucked it up. I should. I just don't want to get up right now. I am so very focused. immersed, if you will. Plus, I'm like, if I get up, like, I'm just, I feel like I need to get off, so I'm like, if I get up, I'm getting off. Hi, sir. Hey, what's that get me? Let me do out these 2 stacks. Oh yeah, I have a second axe. I'm stupid. I forgot I made a second one. So we're good. There's 2 stacks. Cut down one more tree for good measure. Oh, this one's big. An excellently sized tree, if I do say so myself. Oh yeah, fuck yeah, that's a lot. That's more than enough, I'm sure, hopefully. Crossing my fingers, dotting my I's. Taking that egg, thank you. Let me plant you. Making a Barbie castle, oh my god. I think Barbie herself would be impressed. Oh, I just realized I could also bridge the gap with the door. Thumbie Wumbie of me not to have done that yet. I think it's funny I can run across those. Let me bridge the gap. Oop. Oh my gosh. R.I.P. Is that right? Is it? I need one more, don't I? I think I need one more. Oh my god. I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. It's fantastic. Being fantastic. Me when I make a Monster High version of myself. You're kidding. Oh my god, am I gonna run out? Maybe not, maybe not. Fuck yeah. Nice, the perimeter is complete. I just realized doing the roof is gonna kick my ass because I'm gonna have to make, like, scaffolding outside to fucking crawl around on. So that's gonna be fun. And by fun, I mean a huge pain in the ass. Bro, this house is gonna be beautiful. Glow up for real. Okay, I will finish setting these blocks that I'm holding in my hand. And then I will... What time is it? It's only midnight. No, it's fine, because I'm one of those bitches that's like... When I go to sleep, I need time to sit in my bed and sit on my little phone and do things and chill out. And then I can go to bed after I sit on my phone for an hour. And that is how my ass got caught laying in bed when my cat found a fucking nasty ass bug in my room last night. But I am pretty tired too. I was like, I'm gonna stay up all fucking night. I can stay up all night and play Minecraft. I'm gonna stay up really late. But I am tired and I want ice cream. So that's a wrap. Next stream, I'm EP time for real. Yes, doom scrolling, except I'm usually either playing a mobile game or reading webtoons. So for my nightly ritual, I do not do much of doom scrolling. Um, the next stream, I will be playing Baldur's Gate again. I think this is, how many fucking Minecraft streams in a row have I done? Like 6? Jesus fucking Christ. That's consistent as fuck. That's crazy for me. I'm gonna play Baldur's Gate, which I haven't played in forever, and we're not playing Minecraft. I cannot play Minecraft. I must do something different. I will do something different. Bitchin' Christ, that's a quiet few. Oh, that's quite a few. Me when I'm dyslexic as fuck. Yeah, that's quite a few. Quite a few for real. And then there was like, when I first started playing, what, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? I streamed 3 nights in a row, which is also fucking crazy for me. And I almost streamed a 4th night in a row, but I was like, stop. I don't know, I just... Minecraft's fucking good. And since I have ever thought that in my life before, it's like... You're good, by the way, I can't spell. Since I've never liked Minecraft, now that I do, I'm like... I'm hyper fixated for realsies. But anyways, yeah. For those of you who came to hang out, I appreciate you. I love you. Thanks for tuning in. I hope I see you next time, and I hope everybody has a great night.